Hello and welcome back to another gate exploration. My name is Bambaji and today we will look through gate 24, which is the gate of rationalization. So let me share my screen with you so that you can have a look at this gate as we go through it. It's a gate, an individual gate, that's the circuitry that it's in, and it's in the Ajna Centre, which is that second triangle down from the top. And the gate 24, it points upwards towards the head. This is a gate that is rationalizing, hence the name. And what it's rationalizing is the inspiration that's coming to it from gate 61, which is the gate at the other end of its channel. Gate 61 being the gate of mystery and inner knowing. The role of gate 24 is to find a way to communicate the unique awareness of individuality to the collective, which is no easy job because the collective can be quite suspicious of individuality. They don't know what they're going to get from them. You know, it can have a little bit of a freaky quality to it, the individuality. They are different and the collective know that they're different. And so there's a slight sort of like, oh, we'll keep our distance from here. Even though they know also that there is some genius to be found within individuality, they don't quite trust it. So before any attempt can be made at expressing an inspiration, it has to be put into a rational form so that the collective can accept it. Or at least if they don't accept it, they're more willing to listen to it and give it a chance, you know. It's a gate of pondering. It's a lovely word, isn't it? Pondering. I'm going to ponder my rationalizations. Inspiration is something that is returned to over and over again until the energy is transformed into a rational form. And this will happen in a pulse. This is a pulse energy. You might recognize that from talking about other individual gates as we've been going through this process. You can't have your own timing around this. It's the timing of the unknown, the timing of the universe, if you like. And the pulse isn't necessarily a regular pulse. You can't rely on it. It's just something that you need to learn self-trust about. It's tricky. It's a really tricky one because you don't know what you know, or you don't know what you're going to know, or you don't know when you're going to know it. It's all of these things. Thank you. It's because when it comes, it can be so inspiring and so amazing that, of course, the desire there is to have it all the time. I want to be unique and inspiring constantly, but it's not up to us. You know, the timing is not our timing. And we can't do anything about that other than learn how to trust it. We don't know. We just don't know. You could just say it like that, okay? We don't know. And if you've got this in an open ajna, then you're not here to be sure about anything either. So not only do you not know what you don't know or what you do know or when you're going to know it, you can't be sure about it either. So, okay, let's try and break it down so actually I can say it in a way that makes a bit of sense. So you don't know what you don't know, and you have to trust that what you do need to know, you'll know when you need to know it. Okay, that's clear. And also the learning here is sometimes there are things that you really just don't need to know. You know, however much your mind says, I need to know it, I need to know it. It's not about your mind, really, although it's in the Ajna Centre, but it's not up to you what is delivered in a way. You know, it's you just have to, there are some things you will never know. The end. These gates up between the head and the ajna can really have some madness to them. They can drive you nuts, you know. And in fact, there is, of course, always the potential for melancholy when we're looking at any of the individual gates in any part of the circuitry that we come to. And this is an individual gate. And melancholy is a theme in the 24. Melancholy and madness. Hey, hurrah. So when we explore the nature of the individual, and especially up here in this gate 24, we have to acknowledge the dilemma of knowing. You have to acknowledge the frustration almost, although it's not a generator gate, so we don't sort of talk about it in those terms, but there is that feeling of let me just stop this so I can talk to you properly. Okay, so there is that feeling of, oh, okay, I am going to this meeting, for example, and I maybe don't have all the answers, but I trust that what I need to know, I will know. It will come to me when I need to know it, and that's not my timing. And if I have to sit in the meeting and say, I'm sorry, I don't know, then that's what I'm going to have to do. But getting to that point where you're really comfortable with that, because that's really not the society we live in, that can be really hard to get to. It can be really tricky, you know, because we all want to know what we think we need to know now. So we have to learn to distinguish between what it is we can know, what is not important for us to know, and what is ultimately unknowable. You know, these are sort of the three different strings to this. And really what we can know, the most important thing we can know is who we are. You know, this is probably the most important question we can ask is, who am I? Who am I? What is my true self? What is my true nature? And then we have the things that are, do I really need to know this? Is this relevant? Maybe not. Maybe I can let that one go. And then there's that, I say, that unknowable. I will never know this. So I can let that go as well. And then when you can distinguish between those three, there is actually the possibility for peace, to find silence within your mind. And the individual mind craves silence. So whether you have this consistently or not, during the time of this transit, you might find that your head suddenly gets really, really noisy. And if you've got gate 61 and you've suddenly hooked up with this, so you've got the whole channel, it's like really, really noisy. So finding silence can be a real gift. And this is one way that we're told that we can do that. There's a real cruel irony here, actually, that so often when you've got the individual head gates, it's longing for silence. That's what it wants more than almost anything else. These are the gates that are more likely to have noises in their head. So they might have ringing in their ears or tinnitus or, you know, something along those lines. Is really quite cruel. Yeah, I have gate 61, which is at the other end of this channel, and it's my personality sun, so it's really, really important. And so look, I am very much learning to trust that I will know what I need to know when I need to know it, and it's not up to me. And I know when I'm telling my fairy stories, my cosmic fairy stories, that I can't script them because it doesn't work. And I have to trust that the information is just going to come out of me. And it does. I have to say, so far, it always has done. It comes out at times when I'm not expecting it. And I quick grab my phone and record whatever it is that's coming out. And learning to trust that, and not just trust it, but enjoy it. You know, enjoy that it's not down to me. I am not in control. And these are the times when I really can dig into that and realize and relish the nature of just being the passenger in those times. Only in those times. The rest of the time I'm still trying to take control, but there are portions of my life where it's like, oh, fuck it. It's not down to me. It really is not down to me. Individuality, going back to the noises in the head, you know, individuality is acoustic in nature. Maybe you'll remember when we looked at the 22 that we had there the left ear, and then the 57 is the right ear. So this is all part of that same circuitry. All of these head center gates have that looping quality. You know, they're thinking, they're doubting, they're doubting, they're thinking, they're questioning, they're confused over and over again. And so you have that same thing here. It's this is something where, because it's acoustic, it might hear something, a song on the radio, or on a bus, or somebody might just be humming something as they walk past you, and it gets in your head. And this is the one that just goes on, and you wake up with it. 3 days later, you're still humming that same song, and you don't know why. And then maybe it will either just stop, or you will suddenly think, oh, do you know, I remember where I was when I first heard that song, and something will click into place, and all of a sudden it will go. You say, oh, excellent. What was that all about? Drove me nuts for a few days, and now it's gone. So the Ajna is an awareness center, and that comes with an anxiety. And the anxiety here is the anxiety of not knowing, you know, so it's the pressure of knowing and accepting that you will never know. Do you struggle for it? Don't you struggle for it? What is worth the struggle? I mean, because 28, this isn't 28, but it's part of that circuitry. Finding the thing that has any value or not. Is this valuable to know? Or all of these questions you can bring in, because with genetic continuity, whatever happens in one part of the circuit affects other parts of the circuit. It's like one third line is going to affect all third lines. So where we have knowing as running through the circuit, we also have struggle. There's a struggle always through individuality, but it's struggle, it's not suffering. So that's the mental thing. As soon as you find yourself suffering, then pull back, because that's the mind. That's not anything. We do not have a gate of suffering in the body graph. So we have the 24 grounded in gate 44. As you can see, it's at the opposite end of the mandala here, or the opposite side of the mandala. And this is the gate of alertness. It's a gate in the splenic center, and it's related to instinct and to memory. It's an instinctive memory in the now. So all of the splenic gates are existential by nature. The 44 is tribal, and it's looking up at the ego, as you can see, the ego being the red triangle there. And it carries a fear of the past, because all of the splenic gates, all the awareness gates, as I just said, have got some kind of fear attached to them. The splenic fears are all around, they're quite primal, so it's all around survival. And here it's the past catching up with you, or past baggage that you haven't dropped or sorted out, coming up and impacting you here. What else can I tell you about 44? So when this gate meets its harmonic, which is that 26 up in the ego, we have the channel of the marketer. So it's actually called the transmitter, but it's a very entrepreneurial kind of energy. And it's where the ambitions of the tribe can really be forwarded. It's quite resourceful, it's materialistic, all of these things that go with tribal circuitry. It understands how important resources are in order for the tribe to function in a healthy way. You know, we sometimes put a bad name with materialism or resources or all of this, but it's really something that's absolutely necessary within a correct context. I mean, there's always correctness has to come into these things. So you could have, or materialism is this, or not. We always have the this or the that, and the yin and the yang of it all. Correct resources will help the tribe to function in a healthy way. And this is a gate within a channel that helps to gather those resources and make them available to the tribe. Gate 44 is also alert to patterns, and it is connected to water. Excuse me. Which is why it's one of the memory gates, because memory and water are very closely linked. You know, memories are stored in water. And you might have seen some of the wonderful experiments that I had his name in my mind. The pulse has just taken it away. Emoto has done with water, and the memory that water has, and the intelligence that water has. So when you're looking at this gate 44, and it's through this transit, you might have it in your design anyway, but the correct hydration is really important. And that's not necessarily about drinking 5 liters of water a day, or anything like that. It's not the recommended daily amount. It's the recommended daily amount for you. So you tap into your correctness. How much water is good for you to be taking into your body? Because we're all different, and we all have different levels of exercise, or we spend our water differently, you could say. So take it back to yourself. You know, don't give your authority away as to how much water you should be drinking every day. Are you dehydrated? There are many ways that you can test that for yourself. You know, you can do the skin test, you can do all sorts of things, see it in your eyes. What is it for you? So this is something that you could also explore during this transit. And how does gate 44, this gate of alertness, how does it ground the gate of rationalization? Well, perhaps if you remember back to the last time you had a realization or an inspiration come through, that you notice it took some while to settle. And when you notice that, you start to look at these things, and it can bring you some comfort. When you first hear a song and then you remember where it is you heard it, that can also bring you some comfort, that it puts an order into your life somehow. But what is your experience here? Because it's all very well me saying, well, these are the energies of the gates, and that's true, these are the energies of the gates. But what is your experience of them? How do they appear in your design? Do you have the opposite end of the channel? Do you have anything else in that circuitry? Is it actually your sun? In which case it's nearly your birthday. Happy birthday. How is it for you? So what is your inspiration around this? Do you have any inspirational knowings that you would like to share or that you could offer? Other people's experience is always so valuable. Now, I don't have Gate 24, for example, so I can talk about it in what I've picked up from books. But the more, something beginning with M, is when I can talk about it from other people's experience, when I have anecdotes, then it comes alive. Well, because my own gates I can talk about from experience. They're alive in me already. So it's always really helpful. If you have these gates, then drop a note in the comments or tell us about it, or somehow let's share this information, because this is how we grow. Thank you very much for watching, and always go gently with your lovely self, and I will see you again soon. Okay, bye-bye.